You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Betcha.
Alright, Mason, I've just recorded with Matt on Good Cop, Bad Cop. He tells me it's 4.5 months since we've last recorded a regular episode of MGB. Does that seem likely to you?
Yeah.
It's been a while. I didn't realize it was anything close to that. I think we've probably almost forgot how to do these. We've been reviewing so many independent wrestling events. So the reason we're doing this one is, though, well, there's two reasons why we're doing this. One is we were at Extreme Rules on Sunday. And the second reason was we made a promise to somebody on Twitter several months ago that we were going to have him on our podcast so he could do a quiz with Jackson. And we've never reviewed WWE since. So this seemed like the perfect opportunity to finally get him on. He's been currently doing a world tour of podcasts. We must be probably about the 12th podcast he's on. Every time I look on Twitter, he seems to be on a new one. Zachary Shiloh, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, Graham. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing very good. And yes, we wanted to have you on. I know Matt Willis beat us to it. I think Matt was the first person that managed to get you on the Matt attack. And then since then, there's been no stopping you. I think you've been all over the place, right?
You see, Willis, then followed that with Dutch Kirby twice. The Switch Babe, that's about like 4 of them. And then Everything Pro Wrestling, and No Particular Angle, so that's about like...
And of course, you've got your own podcast now as well.
Alright, so I believe last month, on June 10th, you gave me about 7 months to get my own podcast together.
I figured
so
7 months was a reasonable amount of time. Like, you can't... If I'd have said a month, I was like, you could make excuses, and you're busy at work, and I understand all those things. But I thought, if I give you 7 months, then there's no way you can use that excuse on us.
Either which way, if you actually gave me a month, I would have sat down in my room or somewhere and really thought about it long and hard, and then I would still be where I am today. I could feel it.
Tell us the name of your podcast and tell us what it... Because I know it's not just wrestling. I know there's more to it than that.
Okay, for those people out there that are willing to listen to my crazy voice post this show, I have a little podcast by the name of Black Lions Airspace. And Black is spelled B-L-K. I'm not only doing pro wrestling, but I actually do talks about my own life, TV, comics, movies, and eventually music. And hopefully I will be getting certain guests on. So a certain family may be coming on as well, if provided right precision.
Uh-huh, interesting. And where can we find this?
Oh, you can find me on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Means, and let's see. We gotta talk about a certain barrage of pictures that you took, Graham, which you're gonna be reviewing soon, if I understand.
We will probably be talking about that next week. I'm assuming that you're talking about the Independent Wrestling Television Champion.
Yep, and you're mini-me.
All right, Mason, why don't you lead us on this one? I've been leading this so far, so let's keep it not too much, but give us a sort of an oversight of what happened at the weekend then with Orange Cassidy.
So, my little friend Jackson, he dressed up as Clementine Jackson, and he just dressed up as Orange Cassidy. He got the jean jacket, the glasses, the backpack, the spinner belt, orange juice. He
had everything, pretty much. The only thing he didn't have was the actual shirt, and we managed to get one of those from the merch stand as well. So he's got pretty much everything now. And tell us about the interactions then with Orange Cassidy then.
So Jackson, he got like Orange Cassidy lazy fist bump, and I did too. And then after the intermission, we went over and said hi, and we got a t-shirt and a picture.
Jackson had a lot of fun with it.
Are you aware that one Mr. Orange Cassidy is challenging for the GCW World Heavyweight Championship this Friday?
I did not know that. Yeah, so who's he fighting then?
I believe your eldest son likes one Nick Gage.
Yes, he does like Nick Gage, yes. I think his name came up in the
So,
Ethan Page interview as one of your favorite matches that you watched last year. So yes, you definitely like Nick Gage.
Nick Gage and Orange Cassidy. I don't really know if that's gonna be like a deathmatch-ish. It is GCW, but it is Orange Cassidy. He doesn't really fight death matches.
Although people normally stay in the character, I can't see Nick Gage stepping out of character and putting up with any of Orange Cassidy's nonsense. I think it's going to be an all-out brawl right at the start.
I don't know.
yes,
he might go lazy mode, and then like something's gonna backfire. He might grab some tubes, hit it off the rope back into his own head, and I don't know.
I'm going to guess, for starters, that it's not going to be PG. I'm going to guess that as soon as he tries to take his hands out of his pockets and he gets them back in again, there's going to be a lot of swearing and there's going to be a lot of F words dropped. That's my prediction for the match.
Can I watch it?
We don't have the channel. Where is it at? It's in New Jersey, right? Is it Asbury Park?
yes.
Okay. I remember seeing that one. I think it's sold out as well. I think I remember seeing that online as well.
If my memory serves me right, you and one Matt Willis were at Orange Cassidy's show, and it ended up with Orange Cassidy and Nick Gage and somebody else actually wearing the Orange Cassidy glasses.
That's very possible. Right at the end, yes, we were at that event, and Matt certainly got to appreciate that character, because I know he didn't know who it was at the time, and he talked about the fact that he got an Orange Cassidy fist bump as well. So at the end, actually, I went to shake his hand, and in the end, I said, no, I can't do that. I got myself a fist bump as well. I didn't want to be the only person in the family that didn't get an Orange Cassidy fist bump. So now, this is confession time. Now, you told me, Zachary, that you hadn't watched Raw and SmackDown in its entirety in a year. Now, we're going to go first. I'm going to go first, Mason, and then you can go second. I haven't watched a full episode of Raw and SmackDown in over a year. I tried to watch one about 2 months ago, and I got bored after about an hour. So I've only been watching highlights for pretty much a year. I'll watch the 30 minutes on YouTube for for Raw, and about 20 minutes for SmackDown. I never watch more than an hour of WWE each week. All right, but I have watched every week. I'm making sure I mention that because it's your turn, Mason. All right, tell us about what WWE you watch.
Not much. I haven't watched it for 2 months.
That sounds about right, because you mentioned things like, who's Robert Roode? I thought his name was Bobby Roode.
I knew who Robert Roode was. I saw him in Impact, but I thought that Michael Cole messed up.
So you've not been keeping up with this either. So that might make it a little easier for you. So do you watch highlights, or do you just not watch WWE at all, Zachary?
I cannot watch it entirely at all. If I actually hear something like a Samoa Joe ribbed on a Kofi Kingston, maybe I'll watch it on YouTube. But otherwise than that, start to finish, no.
Do you watch the pay-per-views?
Oh, God, no. My actual network subscription, died last year after Money in the Bank.
Fair enough. And there's been multiple ones, actually, where even if I've had the network, I haven't even bothered watching the pay-per-view. I've just watched the highlights as well for the same reason. So there you go. You don't need to feel so bad. We're all on kind of a similar page here. So yeah, we're all coming from a point where we don't watch every single thing, and I think that's perfectly reasonable to do that. All right, let's start with the first thing then. So this was the Extreme Rules event that we were at. So Mason, as you were our ringside reporter for this one, well, perhaps not ringside, we were up on the nosebleed sections. Do you want to give us your top 3 moments first then?
My third moment was Undertaker's entrance. It was really cool live.
Yeah, and you missed out on this at SmackDown 1000 because we had to leave a little early. And to be honest, it wasn't that good in a segment anyway, I don't think. It kind of ended a little early. The number of people who were taking pictures, amazing. I haven't posted this picture yet. I stopped and I actually took a picture of the number of people taking pictures. All you can see is people having their phones on, and you can see they're either filming it or they're taking pictures. Love him or hate him as a wrestler, he's still very popular and he's still a crowd pull. That's probably the reason we went. As soon as they announced Undertaker was there, that's when I bought the tickets. If it hadn't been for that, we might not have actually gone to that event. It turned out to be a good event, but Undertaker is still a pull. People want to see the entrance, even if you don't necessarily still like his wrestling.
And my second moment is during the last man standing match. They went all over the place. I was really upset a little bit because we went to the water fountain, which was section 111, and then later we came back to our seats, and then Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley started fighting in section 111.
The water fountains were 110. But yes, we were one section away, literally, Zachary, 5 minutes before they actually went out there. And we saw people lining up as well, and there was security there, and we're like, what's going on? I just assumed it was like a meet and greet or something. I had no idea. If we'd have stayed down there 5 minutes longer, we could have been on television as they were actually coming through the crowd.
But the thing when we came back was they were up on, like, they ventured around to, like, the other side, and then the Bobby Lashley, he threw a fan at Braun Strowman. He, like, pulled him out of his seat and then thrusted him back at Braun Strowman.
A person?
Yeah.
I didn't see that at all. I need to rewatch this.
Wow. And then my number one moment is when we were getting ready to go inside the building, we saw the Iconics and R-Truth.
We did, yeah. They got the barricade set up so where the cars can pull into the parking lot and everything. And we were coming from a Phillies game, and it was like we heard people saying, "Oh look, there's the Iconics." And I got some semi-reasonable pictures of Billie Kay. I got a better picture of. Peyton Royce I couldn't quite get. She was kind of shielded by the crowd. And R-Truth, though, very close. We were probably only about 5 feet away, Zachary, I would say. So we were close. We tried to push Jackson up to the barricade to get a high five, but by the time he'd got there, he'd already moved to the next person, so we didn't quite get it. But I think that's something we might certainly look to do. I said to Mommy, actually, that's probably something you're going to want to do in the future. Get there like 3-4 hours earlier, put plenty of sunblock on, bring a book, and then wait until those people come out. But yeah, we got very close to those people. That was a really cool moment. That's going to be one of my moments later as well. We actually shared quite a lot of those things, actually. Probably not surprisingly. All right, Zachary, so you watch this on the television, so...
So, my top moments. Okay. I would say my top is Shinsuke Nakamura finally winning the Intercontinental Championship.
Yep.
I say it's been far too long. This should have been his championship back in 2017. Instead, we actually wound up getting Miz versus John Cena and women at Mania 33, if I'm correct. Okay, and when
now, let me ask you something about this. I know that you, because Matt and I met you at the G1 Supercard, so I know that you follow more New Japan and Ring of Honor type things. I think I heard then Shinsuke is the first Intercontinental Champion for WWE and New Japan. Does that sound right?
Shinsuke Nakamura is technically the second. You'll never guess who is number one, Graham.
Finn Balor?
No, Finn Balor never held the IWGP.
My guess was going to be AJ Styles, but you said we'd never guess, so I'm going to pick something wild. I know Brock Lesnar was over there, so I'm going to say Brock Lesnar.
Nope. One Y2J, Chris Jericho.
Ah, that makes sense.
Chris Jericho won his 10th Intercontinental Championship overall in New Japan.
Okay.
And he was the champion from June until this past January.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Give us another moment then, Zachary.
Okay. Following that, we have Bayley retaining her women's championship in a handicap match. I was very, very impressed. I thought WWE was probably going to screw her over in favor of Alexa Bliss. But for once, I will do this happily. Bravo, WWE. You didn't screw over a good talent for once.
That one surprised me. We had a little predictions game going on in the family. I got top scorer. I got 9. I only got 2 wrong, I think it was. And I was thinking in my heart, I was like, Bayley, and I was like, they're not going to let her keep it. So I picked Alexa, and I was wrong. That was one of the ones I did get wrong, actually.
Yeah, Jackson picked Alexa, but I picked Bayley.
That was one of your few highlights on the prediction front.
Good boy!
All right, what about your last moment then, Zachary?
And my final moment that made me happy. Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans not becoming champions of Raw.
Woo! Hear, hear.
Thank God. But a certain post-credit scene did not make me quite so happy. Very bad cop moment.
I would certainly agree with that. Unfortunately, I say we had to leave a little early. We'd had a long day. We were at the Flying V thing with Orange Cassidy very late the previous night, and we'd had a full day in Philadelphia. We'd been at the zoo, we'd been at the Phillies game, and after nearly 4.5 hours, not surprisingly, the little guy was tired, so we had to leave. And actually, Brock Lesnar's his favorite wrestler, so. All right, Now, Jackson's actually at swim class right now, so he actually gave me his 3 moments. So, Jackson's 3 moments were... His are pretty short, actually. His third moment was Becky Lynch won, so I guess the same thing as you, the fact that Baron Corbin didn't win. The second one... Oh, actually, wow, you guys are on the same page here. Shinsuke Nakamura winning. The only one that you're gonna totally disagree with, then, I think. Yeah, his first one, he was very specific. He actually said Brock Lesnar regaining the title with an F5. Actually, I don't think he put regaining. I think that was my choice of word. But he did like the F5 that he delivered to Seth Rollins. So he got to see most of those things. But yeah. Now, my 3, I'm going to change one, Mason, because you basically said the same thing. So, my honourable mention, I'm going to move up to 3 then, instead of the Iconics one. The double submission move that Bayley did on Alexa and Nikki. At the same time, either one could have tapped. I still can't figure out how she actually managed to get a submission move on both of them at the same time. They both escaped, but I thought it looked really impressive. And besides that, I think we're pretty close. Second moment, same thing. I really liked Braun and Bobby walking around the ring, all over the arena. I thought that looked really cool. And my first moment, same thing as you. Undertaker. It was just so cool to see. I have been to an earlier show, but I don't remember if I saw The Undertaker there. Or if I did, I didn't remember his entrance in person. I don't think I'll forget that one. It was kind of cool. One thing that I did like, which might have been a bad cop moment for some people if we were doing this, having Finn Balor and Shinsuke on at the first match, not everyone was in their seats. Those people who pay hundreds of dollars, possibly even thousands of dollars to sit on the front row, they weren't even at their seats. A lot of them missed that match, and I thought Finn and Shinsuke was a big match to have on as the first match on the pre-show. But I thought that was funny they did that, and some people missed out on that. Alright, now, the main reason we brought you on, Zachary, is so you can challenge Jackson. Jackson's already recorded his answers with being out at Swim Club, and we're going to play a very special round of Are You Smarter Than a 5-Year-Old? So, the rules for this is Jackson wants to compete in these things, and he wants to be part of the show. We had to find a way that he could physically take part in a quiz. So, it's multiple choice. The topic this week is circus performer or wrestler. So I'm going to give you, and we're actually going to split this up into 2 rounds. We're going to do 5 people, and you've got to tell me whether you think they're a circus performer or whether they're a wrestler, okay?
That's fine.
And then I will tell you at the end, after you've done your 5, how you did, and we'll do another 5 after we've done our review of Raw as well, and then we'll find out, are you smarter than a 5-year-old? Now, Mason, I don't think you saw these either, so if you wanted to play along, you possibly could, and I can keep track of what's going on. Now, the reason I picked this, first of all, is I was thinking that G1 Supercard. I was thinking Ring of Honor, Ring, Circus Ring. Circus performers. So luckily, most people who are famous circus performers, they're not very famous now. One I had to remove from the list was Annie Oakley, because I knew who that was. She was a very famous shooter. She was very good with the gun. So I got rid of that one. All right, the first one is Ben Roller.
Ben Roller. For some odd reason, it almost sounds like a wrestler.
Okay.
So I'll go with wrestler.
Mason?
I agree, wrestler.
You going with wrestler? Okay. All right, the second one is Carl Abs.
Oh, Abs. Sounds like a wrestler.
Okay.
I'm going performer.
Circus performer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, number 3, Charles Blondin.
Oh, that sounds like a circus performer.
I agree.
Number 4, Dan Rice.
Dan Rice. That sounds like a circus performer.
That's a
to me.
neutral name as I could find, I think. All right, Zachary says circus. Mason?
Wrestler.
And the last one in this round is Ernest Rober.
Ernest Rover. Oh, boy. I'll go with circus performer just for you.
Okay.
I agree, too.
You going with circus performer? All right. All right, let's have a look at the answers then. The first one, Ben Roller. In 1906, became a full-time wrestler. Roller's first professional match was against Jack Carkeek. He won in 2 falls, and he received $1,600. In 1906? How on earth do you get $1,600 in your first match? Because we often hear that wrestlers don't get paid very much. I don't understand that figure. I want to find out more about this person. Anyway, you guys both got it correct because you both said wrestler. Number 2, Karl Abs. He was known as the German Oak. He was one of Germany's most well-known professional wrestlers in the 19th century and is considered the founder of modern professional wrestling in Germany. Zachary, you got that correct. Mason, you did not. Number 3, Charles Blondin. He's also known as the Great Blondin. In June 1859, a 35-year-old Blondin made history when he strung a 1,300-foot rope between the American and Canadian sides of the Niagara Falls and strolled across. I think we've heard that story before, Mason, right?
Yeah.
All right, what made this even more impressive is he conquered the falls also on stilts. I don't understand how that's possible. He also did it pushing a wheelbarrow. And he also crossed with a cooking stove and stopped halfway across to prepare an omelette. I have so many questions now. Unfortunately, I don't think they necessarily recorded video for that in that time, because I don't think that existed. How can you take a stove across a tightrope and make an egg and make an omelette? I don't know. Anyway, you both said circus performer. You were both correct. Number 4, Dan Rice. He was the king of American clowns. That means that he's a circus performer. Mason, you got that one wrong. Zachary, you are 4 for 4 right now. So for the last one, Ernest Rober. He was a German-American professional wrestler who held the European Greco-Roman Heavyweight Championships from 1894 to 1900, which means obviously he's a wrestler. So I'm afraid you both got that one wrong. So final scores, Mason, you got 2 out of 5. Jackson, he got 3 out of 5. Zachary got 4 out of 5. So I'm going to give the first round to Zachary, but there is a second round with 5 more names after we do our next review. Okay? All right, Mason. So following on from Extreme Rules then, it was Monday Night Raw. So go ahead, give us your top 3 moments.
So my third one is after Finn's match, he got attacked by Samoa Joe. Then he gets the upper hand. Next, the lights go out, and then he gets attacked by Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Not the creepy one.
I thought that mask was pretty creepy.
I know.
Oh, okay. I thought you said not the creepy one.
No. I meant the creepy one, not the let's do.
Oh, the regular Bray Wyatt who wears a sweater and appears in the... Because you don't know what that is because you missed so many weeks. All right, go ahead. Give us your second moment.
So Seth wins the Battle Royal, and then Paul Heyman, he's like, here's your winner, Seth freaking Rollins. It was like...
Wow, that was a pretty good impression. He went pretty high, right?
Yeah.
You just picked that moment so you could do an impression, right?
No, not really. It was
All
just funny.
Okay.
That sounds like Heyman to me.
It does. He can get a little excited, that's for sure. All right, number 1.
Natalya grabs Naomi's hands, and then she puts her legs on her hips and then lifts her up with her legs, and then Alexa Bliss slips under Naomi and pins Natalya.
I thought Natalya was the winner.
But she kicked out.
Oh, okay. When you said pinned her, I thought you meant for a count of 3.
No.
Okay, so she kicked out. I got it. Okay. And yes, Natalya would go on to win that and is now the number 1 challenger for the Raw Women's Championship, I believe. Okay? Uh-huh. Well, I got some different moments from you, so that's going to be good this time. All right, what about you, Zachary?
No McMahon presence. That's a highlight for me.
Woo!
None. Yet. Nine. Nunca. That actually allowed me to enjoy what parts of the round I could watch before I fell asleep. Thank you very much, WWE. Do it more often.
That 3-hour show is too long. 8 until 11 is just too much.
Oh, before we continue, Graham, do you understand that Fox is telling WWE that they should actually keep their stuff to 2 hours?
You're preaching to the choir. I agree. 2 hours. We talk about this all the time, like a tight 2-hour show. It's the way to go. Yeah, 3 hours is too much.
Too much. Okay, my second highlight, I would say, believe it or not, and this is going to make your 5-year-old happy. One, Brock Lesnar coming out and using that Universal Championship as a boombox. I was on the floor laughing so hard. I said, oh my God, this is actually happening. This guy that I was talking to earlier in the day, meaning yesterday, he was saying, oh, we got to actually have money in the bank briefcase and all this other jazz for there to be a Brock party. I said, dude, WWE is going to be the Brock Party regardless. And the fact that he used that belt even more solidified it.
It's definitely something that was, for all the hate that Brock got, I think the Brock Party was something that was really popular with him.
I'm still laughing at that gift to this day. He's literally dancing in front of a guy that comes out gyrating, shaking his booty, and actually throwing pancakes in the air for other people to eat. I said, yeah, don't be mad, bro. He stole your gimmick, or part of it.
All right, what about your number one moment then?
Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Two of my favorite wrestlers on the main roster who have had great matches in NXT and who I feel are very underrated in favor of certain chosen ones by the names of Roman Reigns and Shane McMahon.
Now, I'd heard a rumor, though, Finn's going to be taking time off, so I'm wondering if he's injured again, which if it is, that would be a real shame.
Oh, rumor has it that he's supposedly engaged.
Oh, he is? Oh, I didn't know that. Is
That's
it to another wrestler?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Finn Balor, I've kept up with this dude on Twitter on and off for the past 2 to 3 years.
Uh-huh.
This guy is not very open about his private life, unlike a certain couple that WWE likes to try and shove down the throat nowadays.
Uh-huh. I was going to say the Europeans are generally a little bit more reserved, but Becky would also fall under that category as well, so I guess it doesn't always work.
Well, yeah, she's from Scotland. Didn't you know that?
No, Ireland.
Oh, excuse me. Either which way, she's not from America.
No, she is not, no. I think it was the Irish lass kicker originally, yeah.
Yes, that's her nickname. Oh, before she became the man.
Mm-hmm. All right, let me give you Jackson's 3 moments. He liked the AJ Styles match. He liked the fact that he won. Second moment was Brock Lesnar watching the Battle Royal. Didn't mention anything about the Battle Royal itself. He just liked the fact that Brock Lesnar was there watching it. It was kind of good. It was kind of like an animal watching its prey and sort of going, all right, I see what's going on here, but I'm watching you. And his last moment was, having said he liked the AJ Styles match, he specifically said he liked the fact that Ricochet came out and took out AJ Styles. And that was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of gutsy of Ricochet to do that, because the club were out there as well. So
I have a quick question. Okay, when there's a DQ, say hypothetically Mason and I were actually wrestlers, and I came out and attacked him, shouldn't that have resulted in a DQ?
You would think so. You would think so. They tend to be a little liberal with some of their rules. They tend to bend them as they seem what they seem appropriate, and I guess with what works with storylines as well.
Jesus wept.
Well, also, have you ever seen a referee count to 10 correctly as well? Oh my gosh. It takes them for 30 seconds, and then sometimes they only count one person, not the other one, and when they're lying on the floor, they certainly don't always count either. So, yeah, they tend to, I guess, wrestlers' discretion for this. Alright, my 3 moments, and I just suddenly realised one of my favourite things on here wasn't, I didn't even write down, but anyway, this is what I had to begin with. I like the Battle Royal. The only thing I would like to have seen different was, I would have liked to have seen Seth and Roman battle together to get Braun Strowman out, and then them two have to fight to see who was the winner. I think having the two Shield people together would have been an interesting confrontation at the end. I also had Ricochet as well, taking out AJ. I like that developing story of the club. I actually was hoping that Finn Balor was going to join that, but if he is injured and taking time off, I'm guessing that's something that might not happen after all. And my number 1 moment was, and you mentioned this earlier, finally getting to see Bray Wyatt. My only disappointment was, I thought it should have been the day before. I thought that should have been something. Everyone was talking about it. Everybody was excited by it. That's the thing you should put on the pay-per-view to get people subscribing to the network and wanting to watch the pay-per-view. I don't think you give something away like that for free on your regular weekly TV show.
And it would have made sense after Seth won, he would have been attacked. Brock Lesnar came out while Seth was on the ground instead of Seth winning a match.
Okay.
I agree with you both.
Alright, let's move on to our second part of our quiz then. So, Zachary won round 1. So, I'm just going to go back to 1, okay? It says 6 on here. Alright, same thing as before. These are either wrestlers or circus performers. Okay, first one, Frank Gotch.
Wrestler.
Simon Gotch's brother, wrestler.
All right, number 2, George Hackenschmidt.
Hackers. I'm thinking he's a wrestler.
I'm going performer.
Okay, number 3, Isaac Van Amberg.
Performer. Sounds like to me.
I agree.
Number 4, Jules Leotard.
Sounds so much like a performer.
Okay.
Wrestler.
And the last one, I'm not sure on the pronunciation of this one. It's either Zazel or Zazel. Zazel.
Sounds like Zazzle to me. All right, Graham, give us the last name.
That's it.
Oh, that's it?
One name.
Oh, wow. Okay, Zazzle. I'm just going to take a guess and go performer.
I'm going performer because you dazzle people, I guess you zazzle people now.
Uh-huh. That kind of makes sense.
That's not a bad logic.
I just realised, and we've done all 10 people now, what I was supposed to say is it was either circus performer or 19th century wrestlers. That's the part that I missed. I just said it was wrestlers. These are all people that wrestled before 1900s. So these are like really early wrestlers. Basically in the same era that most of these circus people are from. All right, let's have a look to see how you did on this one. Now, sometimes I mess with you psychologically, and I saw Frank Gotch, and I was thinking, oh, you're going to think Simon Gotch straight away. Do you remember his character? It was the Vaudeville Villains, and they were old-style wrestlers, right? And I was like, oh, you probably just think I picked that deliberately, so it's the other way around. It was a wrestler, and I'm going to guess that's where Simon Gotch got his name from then. He said he wrestled and won his first match in 1899, but his first important match was in June 1899 against a man claiming to be a furniture dealer from a neighbouring town. Gotch held his own for nearly 2 hours. My gosh, that's a long match. But lost the hard-fought contest. Only later did he learn that his opponent was actually the reigning American heavyweight champion, Dan McLeod. In those days, wrestling was legit. So it wasn't staged at all. It was like an actual boxing match. Oh. So 2 hours for a wrestling match. My goodness. Yeah, we have 10-minute affairs nowadays. All right, next one. Oh, you both said wrestler, so you're both correct. Next one, George Hackenschmidt. He was an early 20th century Estonian, strongman, professional wrestler, author, and sports philosopher, who is recognized as professional wrestling's first world heavyweight champion. Zachary, you got that one correct. Sorry, Mason, you got that one wrong. Next one, Isaac Van Amberg. He was known as the Great Lion Tamer, which means he's a circus performer, which you both said. Number 9, Jules Leotard. He was known as the daring young man on the flying trapeze, which means he's a circus performer. So, Zachary, you got that one right. Mason, you got that one wrong again. And I think I talked to you about this guy yesterday, Mason. He's remembered as the first man in history to attempt a flying trapeze act. He first practiced his high-flying stunts over his family's swimming pool before unveiling it in 1859 in Paris. Who has a swimming pool in 1850?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You told me about that, but I don't remember his name.
Well, I didn't tell you the name. I just told you that's how he did it, and which was fair enough because I told you it was circus performer. So Zachary's on 4. You're on 2 so far, and the last one was Zazzle. I think we decided, who was known as the human projectile. In 1877, the world's first recorded human cannonball took flight when teenager acrobat Rosa Richter, better known by her stage name Zazzle, was shot into the air at the Royal Aquarium in London. Now, if it was a tie, which it's not, you're going to get this as a follow-up question. Did Zazzle die from a cannonball act, or did she just die through old age?
Oh.
When was she?
That's tough.
1877 when she did her first cannonball flight.
Die.
From the cannonball, or just from old age? Cannonball?
Alright, let's see. She's a cannon. I'll actually chime in with Mason. Maybe she died from being a projectile.
It's a pretty dangerous sport, you'd have to agree. Actually, it wasn't. In 1899, when she overshot the net during a performance in New Mexico, Zazzle survived. She had a broken back, though, and she was forced to retire from the circus for good. But no, she just died from natural causes in the end. But it wasn't a tie anyway. This one was pretty... You might be the most impressive performer on this game ever, I think. Zachary, you swept the board. 5 for 5. Mason, you got 3 for 5. Jackson also got 3 for 5. However you work it, 9 out of 10. You won both rounds. Zachary, you are certainly smarter than a 5-year-old. I don't know if it's such a good thing if you win this anyway, because it's kind of expected. But I know Jackson loves playing it anyway, so.
I know. I'm just laughing in the sense that it was a fun game. That's what it was all about.
That's why we do it. We try and throw in a little bit of entertainment value, a little bit of education as well there. I had fun reading about some of those circus performers. Some of their stories are really interesting. The fact that the amount of money they used to earn in such a poor time, relatively. And, never even heard of some of those people. Names you just don't hear of, and a skill that's probably totally unvalued now, 150 years later. Alright, let's go to our final segment for this week then, which was SmackDown. I think it said it was from Baltimore, actually. I think I heard him say that. Alright, Mason, go ahead. Give us your top 3 moments.
Daniel Bryan and Rowan does a Tommaso Ciampa, walks out, silence, boos, and then they just walk out, like into back to the locker room, then walk back out 3 times.
Alright, what about your second moment then, Mason?
So, Kevin Owens, he powerbombs he powerbombs Dolph Ziggler. Then Shane has, he drives the whole locker room out, and then he gets a stun. Dolph Ziggler gets a stunner. Then Shane McMahon gets a stunner. He's is the stunner Kevin Owens' new signature move?
He uses it a lot. Yeah, he uses it a lot.
I think Austin actually gave Owens the blessing to use the stunner in an interview, but he actually cracked on how he actually did it, and I believe that Owens must have been practicing a little bit more, so that's why you're seeing him do it a little bit more.
He's certainly doing it a lot more than that powerbomb that he used to do, so yeah. Alright, number 1 moment, I believe.
So Shane lets the locker room say their feelings about Shane, and that I cracked up what Roman said.
I know what Roman said. I just won't say it because we actually have a minor in the vicinity.
I listened to it.
I changed the phrase to behind, but yeah, it basically said nobody respects you. I know that was one of the things he said. And you can kiss my behind?
Yeah.
There you go.
And then Bailey's face behind him, she had her mouth wide open. It was hilarious.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I think we're pretty much on the same page. And for that reason, I'm actually going to jump in here, Zachary. I had the same thing. I had the number 3 moment. I liked the start. I liked how the people were out there basically talking bad about Shane. And it needed saying. Kevin Owens only said what everyone else was thinking in WWE. And I'm glad that they shifted the balance back to that. My number 2 moment was all the matches seem to be people who, KO said last week, were missing time because of Shane. Like, we got to see people like Liv Morgan, we got to see people like Oscar, Apollo Crews. All those people finally got a match. And my number 1 moment was the stunner to Shane. It was fantastic. It was very reminiscent of when Stone Cold used to do it to Mr. McMahon, but it was still enjoyable to see, and although there was parallels there, I really enjoyed seeing that. I hate Shane. It was the one match I didn't watch at WrestleMania. I walked out. I took a walk around the stadium, took some pictures, went to the bathroom. I did not care about that match. All right, Zachary, go ahead. Give us your 3 moments, then, from when you were awake.
All right, before I do so, I have 2 quick questions for you guys.
Sure.
As far as Owens and Shane are concerned, when Owens actually blasted Shane with the stunner the first time, what did you think about Shane's performance?
I don't even think I saw when he first stunned him. I've seen him past, and then he's been wearing, a white jacket. But, I remember his mouth was wide open, and then he, I don't know.
So did he do a good job of selling it?
Sort of.
Oh, Jesus Christ. They actually went for the stunner the first time, and it had to be reproduced. So, Shane kind of messed up.
Uh-oh.
A little bit.
Bad cop moment.
But when we get back from a certain commercial, they actually edited it to make it look like Shane took the stunner in one go.
They did some revisionist history then, so they changed what you actually saw and put in something that was happened during the commercial.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Yeah, they actually took a cue from our friend R.J. Krasinski.
Oh, my goodness.
How? How did you know that?
Because you could tell. If you watched it, you would know. because you could see that. But yeah, they come back from the commercial. We watch the highlights, so that's the other reason for watching highlights. We don't have to watch the commercials.
Okay.
Because I can't be bothered. I don't have time to watch commercials.
Get onto my road. Okay, what do you think about Owens actually feuding with Shane after like 2 years?
I think he was the perfect person to pick. I think he's somebody who's very good on the mic. They already used Miz, so they couldn't really use Miz again. I didn't really want to see Miz on the mic. I think it needed somebody who was a bit of a heel and somebody who had that don't care attitude, which unfortunately face Miz doesn't have. I'm not sure who else they could have picked for that. I think he was the perfect person.
Yeah, I can see that. What about you, Mason?
Yeah, I agree with that don't care attitude, and like he sort of reminds me of Becky Lynch because she had that thing, and
yeah, Sami Zayn could have probably done it as well.
Yeah.
I would have been okay if it was Sami who'd done it.
My top moment is Aleister Black versus Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a clash of two big men who I feel WWE has underutilized, especially Aleister Black. Jesus, what?
He was injured, though. I thought they gave him a good push at the start with Ricochet as a tag team, but then unfortunately he got injured, which is why they had to go the singles route. So I think their hands might have been a little tied on that one.
Oh, okay. That's understandable. And this time around, I think it was a little bit better than their Extreme Rules match. Black actually hits the kick a little bit better in this one.
What do you think, Mason?
I like the Extreme Rules better
Why?
because like I got to see the full match.
Because you're actually there, and it wasn't on highlights. That was one thing, actually, which we were talking about top moments. The thing that we didn't like we like Aleister Black's entrance. The thing we didn't like at Extreme Rules we were the side where you could clearly see that it was a board lifting him up. So it took away the whole illusion of it. We were on the wrong side of the stadium, really, weren't we? If we were on the far side where it looks like he's just coming up from the ground, it looks really cool, but yeah.
Oh, God, that's such a bad cop moment right there.
It kind of, yeah, it spoiled the illusion a little bit, but it is what it is. There's not much you could do about it. Go ahead, give us your second moment then.
Ember Moon getting offered a title shot from Bayley post their win against, who was their opponents again?
It was, I believe, oh goodness gracious,
Randy Rose and
Sonya
Deville, yes.
I remember now. When I actually saw this, I just lost my mind. I just went, about time, WWE. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. She's so underrated, and the fact that she's having to deal with the likes of a Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch and God knows who else, taking, I think, away her shine a little bit, made me happy.
I think Ember's somebody who is very popular. I don't think I've heard anyone ever say a bad word about Ember Moon.
I love me Ember Moon. She was one of my favorites off the independents.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing one of her early matches at AIW, but I can't remember what name she was. I'm trying to remember what...
I give my third answer.
Okay.
Graham, how good are you with mythology?
Oh, jeez. Not very.
Okay, Ember Moon went by the name of Athena on the Independents.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Now, the final piece to the puzzle. Mustafa Ali possibly setting up a feud with Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental Championship. I did not see Mustafa coming out of anywhere to congratulate Nakamura. When he did, I said, ooh. Okay, this sounds like something worth for SummerSlam.
Uh-huh.
Okay, WWE, I see what you're doing. Thank you very much.
They've been building him back up again nicely after his injury. Those promos he cut last week were really good. I enjoyed his stuff so much. I went back and watched all his matches on Freelance. He was in Freelance for about a year, where he was wrestling there. He had some really good matches there. And that's somebody else who I think it was really unfortunate that first time. They brought him up, they gave him a push really quick, and people were really on board with him, and then he got injured, and then he just kind of fell down the pecking order a little bit. But yeah, he's certainly someone I'm hoping that they're going to build back up again, because he has a lot of talent.
Poor guy.
I have one question. Do you think that Raw and SmackDown was better than recent Raw and SmackDown? Or just the same?
Because this was the first one,
Yeah.
supposedly, with Paul Heyman running Raw and Eric Bischoff running SmackDown. Could you tell a difference?
Can I tell a little bit difference? Not really. It feels almost the absolute same. When I was watching both, it felt like, okay, let's reward the losers of the pay-per-view, like the previous Raws and SmackDowns after PPVs.
Okay. What did you think? I actually thought it was better, Mason. We've had some ones when we've watched before, and I know we haven't reviewed them, but there's been some pretty bad ones recently. Perhaps in the last 3 weeks, Paul Heyman started to improve Raw a little bit. I thought it was one of the better ones.
I can't really comment because I haven't watched it in 2 months.
All right, so is it better than the one you saw 2 months ago? Because that would be a good contrast. Or about the same.
I don't really remember much.
I'm glad you raised that. So you raised the question that you don't even have an answer to for yourself.
I was asking you to, not me.
Oh, okay. Let's cut to the promotional stuff. Besides this episode, people should go back and listen to, certainly if nothing, not the whole review of Alpha 1, the interview that we conducted with Ethan Page at the end of June. As of today is when we're recording Wednesday, Ethan Page's vlog came out, and Mason, you were featured quite heavily. You got like a 90 seconds out of the 16 and a half minutes, I think it was. We did get to see your first question that you asked Ethan Page, and if you want to see the rest of that interview or hear the rest of that interview, we have put it on again at the end of the Alpha 1 review, so go check that one out. And next week we're going to be reviewing Flying V Theatre. And Zachary, go ahead, tell us where we can, tell us once again about your podcast and where we can probably catch you next as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Graham and Mason, for having me on. My name is Zachary Shiloh. You could find me right on Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But I have a show called The Black Lions Airspace. Black is spelled BLK. And you can find me on social media outlets such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at ZACSHI130 or Zachary Shiloh.
I think of all the times, well, the whole podcast, my whole intention was, whenever I mention you now on Twitter, I always refer to you as Z-Shi. I don't think one time I actually called you Z-Shi today. I think that's the level of professionalism we've got now, Mason. I was being very formal today. So I think that might be the new little catchy name we have for you. But we certainly appreciate you coming on today, Z-Shi, reviewing Raw with us and SmackDown and Raw and the pay-per-view event. It's been a treat for us as well. We haven't done WWE in a long time, so it was good to have an extra pair of hands while we try to remember how to do a regular MGB episode.
That's great to hear. Well, thank you very much for actually having me and supporting me in this little endeavor. Oh, speaking of endeavors, Graham, I believe one Dej Kirby, or Mags, as we affectionately call him,
yes,
has released my episodes of The Badlands and Why We Watch. Please.
Okay, so certainly look for those. One of those is on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. The other one is on Brainbuster Radio. All right, I think that does it for us. Hey, thank you so much.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
The music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/